Welcome to Bill on Bikes, episode 1, part 2 of our V-Rod project. We're adjusting the valves. You see I have our tool in here to rotate the engine, but you want to note you always rotate the engine counterclockwise, never clockwise, because you can unload the chain tensioners and cause the timing to skip a tooth on the cam chains. I've already got it at top dead center. You see we have a special tool that we use. I'm doing the best with the video that I can here. I'm holding it with one hand. I got a light in the other. And we're going to go over here and we've confirmed our timing. You always want to confirm your timing. So I have the front exhaust and the front intake lined up. And then we'll go to the back. And we have get a good shot of that for you. The rear intake and the rear exhaust. You'll see those cam marks right there, and the 4 dots and the 3 dots. 3 for the intake, 4 for the rear exhaust. Now that I've verified that, I'm going to rotate our front cams to the 2 and 10 o'clock position. It's just with the frame and the engine, it's just really difficult to get in here to give you a really good video of this. And then we're going to check what the current lash is at, and we'll write that down on our chart that we have, and then we will mark the cams, do one at a time, disassemble, and check our shim size, and then we'll calculate that and determine what new shims we need. All right, so I'll make a video of that shortly. And you can see I removed both caps. The caps are marked 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they have arrows on them. The arrows always face in towards the center of the head. And if you can get a good look at these cams, you can see I mentioned earlier about the stone ground finish. That's what these ones are. They almost look like they have lines in them. I think you can pick that up in the video, even though they're actually smooth. The cam ground is much smoother, more traditional, what most of you would be used to looking at. But there's no pitting, everything looks good, and those marks are totally normal. So now I'm going to pull the buckets with a strong magnet, and then we'll measure the shims that are underneath it, and we'll do our calculations. And you can also see how I've moved the cam over and out of position, and this is why we mark them. You got to be really careful at this point, because we can easily lose our cam timing, and it creates a lot more work. All right, we got our cams in the right position. The front exhaust, the front lobe is at the 10 o'clock, and the intake is at the 2 o'clock position. This is what it needs to look like. We've already checked the clearance, and these are way out. I mean, they're about 9 to 10 thousandths on the loose side, so we're going to go ahead and adjust them. And just a quick note, someone had this apart before. They put looks like Harley crankcase sealer all around the gaskets. Let me just pan over here and show you the gaskets. You don't need to do that on a V-Rod. The only place we put a little silicone material is right around here where these plugs are, but you can see how they did the complete gasket. And you don't want to do that. It just takes more to clean up. The V-Rods don't leak. It's a well-designed engine, so it's not something you need to do. Also, on this bike, we had a cracked exhaust, and you can see someone installed the bracket, and it's actually digging into the fuel tank, which is plastic. So we're going to be updating the exhaust system. The old one was cracked. I think I actually have it over here. I can show you. You can see the good size crack right there. It wasn't installed correctly. It was touching the frame, so we got a little crack. So we ordered a new exhaust for it. Again, don't use silicone on these. Don't over torque the bolts. Most of the bolts were torqued, over torqued. And with Loctite, you don't use Loctite on them. You just don't need that on a V-Rod. So we're going to go ahead with our valve adjustment. Now that we've got both cams marked, we're going to loosen this 27 millimeter socket right here. We're going to use this socket, and we're going to loosen our front cam chain adjuster. We're going to loosen that, and we'll remove one cam at a time so we can measure the shims under the bucket, and then we'll do our calculations to see what size shim we need to make the adjustment correct. And here's what our shim looks like in our bucket. Now we're going to measure the shim. All right, we're done with the front. We're now in the rear, and we got our cams in the proper position, and they're pointing at the 2 o'clock and the 10 o'clock position. And I've marked my link and the cam chains. Now I'm going to remove the cam chain adjuster, and I'll do one cam at a time and shim those. All right, we're done shimming. Now we're going to re-verify our valve timing on our cam chains and the cams. And we have top dead center. Our top dead center tool's in place. Our timing marks are lined up, and we're all good. We'll put the rockers on. That's pretty much all there is to doing the valve lash adjustment on a V-Rod. It's not the easiest thing, but it's not actually that hard. It's just time consuming.